You know, I keep forgetting that I'm supposed to F11 on the tab that I'm watching so that you guys can't see it. I've been planning on a video like this since forever, honestly, about H-Kkohaku's moves and what I think about each and every single one of them. And I figure that an easy way to squeeze content out of them would be like a tier list or something. So here it is, a tier list. I screenshotted all of them in the frame display tool in the Melty Blood. Like every copy of Melty Blood comes with a frame display viewer, so you can see hitboxes. So I screenshotted all of them, and I'm going to go over each and every single move. And I think I'm going to start with the very obvious core moves, which are just the best moves on this character, and I'm just going to explain my reasoning for why each and every single one of these moves is as good or as bad as I think they are. So the first core move is going to be Command Grab. This is literally the only reason in which you play H-Kkohaku over C or F. Or well, over C, Kohaku, or Spike Ball. Because Spike Ball has a lot of the same normals, but they don't have the super powerful command grab that gets corner to corner on every single character except except Mech and Roa, and Cats, of course. But this command grab gets corner to corner on every single character in combination with the rest of her moves. It leads into an unblockable, like either a true blue unblockable or just 2-2-A unblockable setups that loop and deal about 4.2k each rep. So it's pretty much the baseline of this character, and it's the reason that she's as good as she is, because command grabs in Melty Blood Actions Against Current Code are just really strong. So you can't, there's no way that this doesn't get like the absolute top of the tier list. And afterwards we gotta talk about the other core move, probably 2-2-A. However, how core this move is kind of up for debate, because like, yeah, it's the reason as to why her set play works, but it's actually not that bad on like block string offense after like a 2C or 2B, no, after a 2C, 5C, or 5B charge. This is not that bad. So like it could go up here, but I feel like it's more of a really good at its niche, because you use command grab for shit like pinning landings too. So you use command grab both on offense, you can use it on defense because it's frame 4. It will lose to trades, but it's a disjointed command grab. Even though it's only active for 1 frame, you can wrap a whole bunch of green with it. It's a relatively tall command grab too. Like if you can see that the red on it is up to her arm. Those command grabs in this game do not reach anything higher than like the feet level. The fact this one goes up to her arm means she can catch characters that are trying to use a move that has like low invul. It's the command grab is just stupidly good, and A-bomb is just really good. So it might go up into core move because it's just broken on set play, and it's decent on like it's decent in neutral and block string offense. I'm just gonna put it here because I don't feel like it's as centralizing as her command grab. And now I think I'm gonna do the other bombs first. I think EX bomb is either here or maybe the tier below. Like, let me give these tiers some better names first. Garbage, extremely niche, we'll add a tier below. Meh, good. And this is probably all I need. Yeah, so see, EX bomb, the issue with EX bomb isn't really an issue with the bomb itself. Like the combo that you need to get a meaty 2-2-C setup is extremely hard, extremely finicky, and extremely character specific due to the fact that it's only active for 2 frames like the other bombs, but unlike A-bomb, which is active 64 frames after you press 2-2-A, this one is active almost like 500 frames after you press 2-2-C. and it has a huge EX flash, so setting it up and doing a combo that lasts long enough in order to meter usually ends up giving your opponent a whole bunch of meter, which is the big issue. Like but the fact that it's a huge ass unblockable explosion that has to be either bunkered or rolled through or dodged, it forces your opponent into such a bad spot, and you can cover like huge swaths of their options with it, and it also manages meter really well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 22A up and keep 22C here, because 22C is like almost as good as 22A, but it doesn't have like the use and block. It's also, interestingly enough, it's invuln for the first 8 frames. So if you see like certain EX reversals, you can 22C on reaction to them and get a punish if they are long enough. Like if you see a Koma try to do like a 22C on wake up, you can 22C him back, and since it's only 60 frames total duration, you recover before he does, and you can actually punish his 22C. But like, I think this is just slightly better because 22A has a usage in pretty much every game state, even though the usages outside of set play aren't as good as the usages in set play. 22C is just set play, so I'm gonna move 22A up. And 22B, I think we're gonna have to make a new tier below. Add a tier below. It's just gonna be Niche, and we're gonna make this one. Oh nope! I just need to change the color. Niche. Like, the more I play and the more I'm testing shit, the more my opinion on 22B changes. For those of you who don't know, 22B has a setup that can drag people out of the corner and towards you. Like it can, like the taller characters in the game, like Tono, Nania, Hime, Reese, Wara, and Nero, you can consistently pull them out of the corner with 22B. And for most of the other characters in the game that are like regular size, like Scion, you can do very specific setups to get them out. You can get themselves to pull them out of the corner. And honestly, I don't like, they're good setups, but they're not as good as 22A or 22C setups. And unlike 22C, the 22B doesn't do anything for meter management. But the thing that gets 22B on the upper half of the list is the fact that it can be used in neutral, and is an extremely good neutral tool in a whole bunch of key matchups, and it helps hemorrhage her dog shit block string offense. When she gets pushed out into a range where she has to redash in, like the main threat is command grab, but she's not always good at like dashing and command grabbing, right? So 22B is extremely good at catching people who are trying to jump out, because if people are like preemptively jumping out, they're not going to be able to air dash punish your 22B in time, which usually means you can hit it and then it can cover a really good arc that allows you to stay on their heels. But it's hard to get the confidence to 22B, because like if they are just like monkeying at you, they're gonna hit the startup of 22B, and if they're paying attention, they're not gonna be confused between 22A and 22B. But I think this one is just strong in its niche. Like it's not like uber niche, but it's strong enough in its niche to warrant being here. Okay, so now that we've talked about the two key specials about this character, I'm going to start with normals. First things first, 5A. Probably, I don't know actually. Whether or not this normal would be better if it cockballed is something that you could probably argue about. Like the fact that it hits crouchers and hits like Kohaku is relatively tall to most of the cast, so it hits a whole bunch of jump startups as well. So the fact that it does that, like, it's definitely not the lower half of the list, but would I call it strong is another question entirely. It is 4 frames, that's important to mention, but unlike like Kohaku has the thinnest 4 frames in the game, like Hisui's 4 frames are slightly bigger and slightly more disjointed from her main body than Kohaku's, like both of them. So like I definitely think 2A is probably stronger than 22B. But my opinion on 5A, like they like this one is not as good as anti-airing as a character that's as tall as Kohaku and has a dash that's as tall as Kohaku would probably prefer if her 5A was like up a bit, or at least a little more horizontal. Not horizontal, vertical. Like if the red went up to her face as opposed to just her armpit, Like, so like this move is good. It's definitely not niche, but I'm just gonna let this tier speak for it. Like, it's definitely not as good as 2A, because 2A is a low and it's 4 frames. Even though it's one of the thinnest 2As in the game, the fact that it's 4 frames and it's low makes it really, really good. And it's +0. Like, both of these are +0, which is a really strong thing about them. So I'm just gonna keep them in this tier, and maybe I'll change my mind. 5B blowback edge is probably one of the best moves in this game. It's super duper disjointed. It's a grounded spike, which is always amazing to have for combo routes. It's the reason that you can combo off a command throw in the first place, because you just 2A whiff into 5B blowback edge. It's core. It's really important to have 5B blowback edge in her kit. And it's really good in block string offense, and it's really good in neutral too. Despite the fact that it's frame 18 and it's slightly reactable, it's still huge and it's omega disjointed, so it's not consistent to punish, especially considering the fact that unlike regular 5B, it actually hits crouchers. Speaking of regular 5B, this shit is our first meh normal. This normal, if you looked at its animation, you would think that if you looked at its animation without the hitboxes, you would think it was like a broken normal. But once you look at its hitboxes and how active they are, you have 2 hitboxes that do 2 entirely different things, and because the activity of both hitboxes is 2 frames, you pretty much have 2 frames to do with what you want to do in this normal. It's a very bad anti-air, and it's a middling ground poke, because most characters can crouch underneath the second half of the 5B. So I'm just putting it in bed. It's not bad or garbage or extremely niche. I should probably put that there to explain what I mean by extremely niche. But 5B, and it's meh. It's a jack of all trades, master of none normal, right? So I'm just gonna put it here. 5C. We actually have to make a new tier for it, but it's probably going to be the last new tier I make. Extremely polarizing, but good. And it probably is better than 5A. Okay, so my deal with 5C is the auto follow-up. But if we are not considering the fact that the auto follow-up is complete garbage and EX guard comes out and is in this game and it eats 2A cancels and a whole bunch of other shit that's bad about 5C, this normal is insane. Like, despite its dog shit hitbox, it is a frame 7 C normal, which is obscenely fast in this game. It is half screen pretty much, and it's so good at pinning landings. It's really good in her combo. The fact that it's 1 frame faster and its float value is less than H-Kkohaku's 5C makes it so good in combos that it's ridiculous. Her mid-screen bateau loops would not be possible without her unique 5C. So like, a lot of her combos are based on the fact that this 5C is the way it is. Like, it's longer than the other Kohaku's 5C other than H-Kkohaku 5C, which is, it's the half charge H-Kkohaku 5C that's longer than this one. Like, this normal is extremely polarizing because the bad is so unbelievably dog shit, and it's pretty much the base design of H-Kkohaku that whenever she whiffs the button, she wants to kill herself. But this button's so good that it's still worth pressing despite all the bad sides. Now, a button that is not worth pressing despite the bad side, despite its good sides, is 2B. 2B has a clash box. Its legit only use is to be used like to catch heat and certain backdashes. Like 2A 2B catches a lot of heats on wake up, and that is pretty much the best use case for this normal. It does not beat Len Heat for whatever fucking reason. I don't even know. It's extremely finicky versus Len Heat. That's all I remember about it. The issue, and you do need a different setup versus slow heaters like Alco and I think Anero. But like, this move is just bad. It has the same total duration as 2C, but that's because it's an autocomplete move like 5C. But unlike 5C, which is just so broken, like Also, I'm gonna turn up the music a little bit because it's probably too quiet. I probably should have edited it in the background, but whatever. It's too late now. Unlike 5C, which is super duper duper good at what it does in combo routes and shit, 2B is extremely filler, and you could probably replace it with any other 2B in the game, and it that doesn't like sweep or whatever, and it would the character would be just fine. Her only use for 2B that is like unique to H-Kkohaku is sometimes she does mid like close to the corner bateau loops, and she'll do like a 2B pickup with the second hit that adds a little bit of extra damage, like a cool optimization. But it's generally not practical because while it does allow you to get like almost 5k from mid-screen throw, it's extremely distance specific, and it's also character specific, and it's also 3-1 frames back to back to back. So while that 2B is okay at helping her get better damage off a mid-screen throw, in neutral this move sort of sucks. Like, you would like it to be a half decent anti-air, but the fact that it auto completes into a dog shit second half that is negatively disjointed makes it really bad. Also, the first hit of 2B is a mid. It's not even a low. It's the second hit that's a low, so that's another point against it. And the fact that you can't vary the timing of the second hit in order to hit fuzzy jumps and stuff is it's just not it's not a good normal. It's like her worst normal by far. Next is 2C charge. This is charged version of the 2C, if you couldn't tell. I think it's just strong in its niche. When you're new, people will tell you the 5A, 6AA, and blowback charge 2C, but the issue is 2C blowback edge charge has 90% multiplicative paration, and since 6AA sets your paration to 60, you actually lose damage as opposed to just manually timing your 2C for damage purposes. And like, this is like your best starter. Like, 2C blowback edge is your best starter, or if you do something like 5C counter hit, like if you do any B button or C button in counter hit into 2C charge, or if you do an A button into 2-2A combo into 2C charge, those are your best and strongest combos, right? You can actually you can break 6k, you can break 7k using those combos. So it's an extremely strong starter, but in neutral, it's not a move you use in neutral at all, because it's 28 frames startup, I believe. Like, I can just pull up the other tab, but whatever. Let me just pull it up in the second tab real quick. I think it's 28 frames, but I don't know the frame data of 2C charge off the top of my head as well as I should. 2C charge, it's 22, not 28. Yeah, that makes more sense. So despite the fact that it's extremely disjointed, it still has the extremely green recovery, and while it's extremely low profile, it's not active for frame 22, so it's not like a neutral button. It's just a powerful counter hit confirm. Well, it's not confirm, you have to do it preemptively, but it's an extremely strong punish button. Like, if you get a good counter hit combo and you can tag 2C blowback edge, you're gonna tag 2C blowback edge. Now let's talk about regular 2C. I think it is extremely, it's better than 5C, most definitely. It's either the bottom of really good at its niche, or extremely polarizing but good. Because H-Kkohaku's biggest issue, like I mentioned before, is she doesn't have shit she can whiff in neutral, and this button contributes to that issue. She doesn't have C-Kkohaku's 4B, or C-Kkohaku's like just single hit 2B, which recovers 10 frames faster than H-Kkohaku's whole 2B. But whatever. I think I'm just gonna put it here, because like the main issue with 2C is that it's so good. You get 623A OTG combos after it. You get to do mid-screen bateau loops. You get to do bopper loops off of it. It's extremely powerful button for combo and block string offense. But my issue is just in neutral. It is your longest low, and it's really your only like actual button you can press, because you have your A buttons, which are small, stubby, and negatively disjointed, and you have 2C and 5C. But is that really the fault of 2C? Because if we're thinking about it, if you get like extremely good at converting Okay, I'm gonna put this to really good cliche, but I think this, like, right now, if I was basing it off my play right now, it would be here. But I'm gonna talk about Kohaku, H-Kkohaku's future and potential, and I'm gonna put it here because theoretically you can consistently, if you're getting 2Cs in neutral, if we're at very specific distances versus good players, or if you do block swings that land into a natural 2C at certain specific distances, you can get like mid-screen 5A with 6A combos that deal a whole bunch of damage and do like mid-screen to corner carry into Oki. And Oki is like the name of the, well, not any Oki, but like Bomb Oki, which is the name of the game of H-Kkohaku. So the fact that off of regular mid-screen hits that there's a button you can press that can get you mid-screen Oki like that is so strong, so big, and it's really good at catching jump outs. Despite the fact that it's relatively slow compared to most sweeps, I think it deserves either really good as niche or extremely polarizing but good. Another man normal is JA. This JA is probably one of the worst ones in the game. It's not like bad or anything, but compared to most of the other JAs in the game, it's not very good at poking in the air or claiming space. It's okay at scouting. The fact that it's like extremely horizontal to her does not help, considering the nature of her other A buttons. It's frame 5, which is standard for JAA, but it's not nearly anywhere near as wide as the other JAs in the game. It's like not a bad button. It's not extremely niche because it's a JA that has standard frame data, but its hitbox leaves a lot to be desired, which is why it's not good. JB. Okay, is it better or worse than 2C? Like, I could put it here to start shit, but let's be real for a second. It's definitely not core. If you listen to Scrod or most other people about Kohaku, they'd put it as a core button. It's not that good, dude. Like, I will not lie and say that the threat of this button does not do a good chunk of her work when it comes to anti-airing people, because the fact that this button exists allows Kohaku to control an area of the screen that most other characters struggle to deal with. But we also have to consider that the reason she has this button is her ground movement is utter dog shit, so it's not as big as some people will have you think it is. I think it's just as good as 2A, and maybe 2A is a little better than 22C. I'm just gonna leave 22C here though, because the potential man, it's the potential man Oki setup thing. Yeah. So JB, we all know what JB does. There's this huge extended red that you can see on the screen that's really, really good at preventing people from jumping in on you stupid if you're already in the air, and it allows her to cover huge swaths of space with JB. It's just a strong button. Like, it does have issues, the fact that all this green comes out 2 frames before the red comes out, but then you can argue that you shouldn't ever be pressing it when they're horizontal to you, especially on H-Kkohaku, who has JC, which we'll be talking about next. It has a couple of issues, but those issues are generally minimized by the fact of how much space it covers and how well. Like, I said way less about JB than I said about how much I love 5B low back edge and 2C, but like, I think everyone has discussed this button to death, so I don't think I could say anything about this button that is of interest. Oh no, it cut off my markings for these. I probably have to pause the video and fix this so it shows which one it is. Gold air throw. Personally, I think H-Kkohaku and C-Kkohaku have the strongest gold air throws in the entire game. Her gold air throw baseline does a lot of damage, and H-Kkohaku can get corner to corner off her gold air throw. Not that she even needs to do that, considering she's one of the few characters that can just naturally cross you under after doing a gold air throw and just get a good combo, a good corner combo. And she also gets like 4.2k into her bomb Oki. It's pretty much the exact same thing as her command throw, but it's in the air. You do have the issues of Kohaku movement, but I think the reward off of it is just so high that it warrants being on this list, and it warrants being right here. Let's finish up her normals. This is JC uncharged. This is JC charged. JC uncharged is extremely it's either here or here, and JC charged is most definitely either at the top of this or slight. It's hard to rank this shit. Okay, I think I'm gonna settle with this. The issue with JC is that similar to JB, for 2 frames before the red comes out, her green is huge. Like, if you don't know, H-Kkohaku extends her greens like far out behind her and far out in front of her on her regular JC. And while her JC is relatively fast, I think at frame 9, let me double check. It might be frame 10, I'm misremembering. No, it is frame 10. So, no, frame 10 is, I think, middle of the pack for a JC. I think a lot of JCs are either frame 8, 9, or 10 or 11. So it's slightly on the slower side, but it's just huge horizontally. And it has the ability to cross people up, right? So, but the cross-up box is in her skirt, and that means that it's relatively easy to low profile for that cross-up box. So if you cross under and press like 2B or whatever, you'll mostly smoke H-Kkohaku. But the fact that there's a cross-up box at all means that it's harder to stone hat her compared to most other characters. And Kohaku JC is just like the blowback edge version of the move is just strong. It's this huge swath of red, and while it doesn't hit downwards as much as you would like it to, like neither of these moves serve as a real jump in, which is a issue that H-Kkohaku has, because you could argue that JB covers a lot of the similar space that JC covers, but the fact that this is just such huge red and it's active for 4 frames, like both are active for 4 frames, but this is like a huge fuck off hitbox for 4 frames with barely any green, and she shrinks her green for the entirety of the charge. So she's like covering a whole bunch of fucking space here, and she's not taking up a lot of space with JC charge. Even though it's sort of slow for a charge move in the air, it's frame 19. I think it's worth it. This one is kind of slow for uncharged air normal, but it's good enough. It's gonna be frame 10. Sometimes it's gonna come out frame 11 because you're holding the button a little too long, because if you don't let go frame perfectly. But I think despite that, it's relatively strong normal. Like, it's polarizing in the fact that you would much rather prefer a button that went down somewhat. Like, in this last red heart box was slightly downwards, then we would have been cooking, but it's not. Because, like, if you said that H-Kkohaku needed to have a jump-in weakness, I could kind of agree with you. Because she definitely can't have a fuzzy on any characters, or her 2-2A will make that fuzzy extremely fucking stupid. But I feel like you could argue that maybe like the last hitbox of 2-2A could be like spaced and make it so you have to space the jump in as compared to is right now, where she doesn't have a jump in at all. Now her shields. This is air shield, crouch shield, 5D. A 5D is good. It is the biggest 5D in the game, I think. Actually, no. H-Scion probably has a bigger 5D, but it's one of the biggest, but one of its issues is that she takes a step forward when she 5Ds. So that means that she's actually prone to getting crossed up. Like, if you try to 5D a Len that is doing J2C, and even if you're in the corner, something that will happen really frequently is that you'll take a step forward and your 5D will whiff versus characters like that. Like Len, Nero, and H-Kkohaku sometimes are really, really good at getting this 5D to whiff, which is extremely annoying, but it's huge. So it's either it's probably here, right? 2D, it's good. It's not like strong. It doesn't have like any absurd properties like 5D, but it's just good. It's your standard 2D. It does a lot of damage. On counter hit leads into bonkers combos. H-Kkohaku's kit allows her to take full advantage of counter hit 2Ds more than maybe like any other character, so it's just strong, right? JD, I don't really have an opinion on, but I'm going to put it in good because it takes JB's hitbox, and even though it's a slightly worse than JB's hitbox, it's like almost completely strike and roll. So it's like this is probably one of the few jump Ds that are better at like air to airing people that are above you compared to air to airing people who are horizontal to you compared to most JDs. Like most JDs are hit downwards. Like there's Wara JD, there's Narrow JD. Like most JDs hit downwards compared to this one. So it's kind of unique in the fact that it's like the air to air JD, but JD is not like a button you should be pressing that much anyway, so it can just go in good. Like it does its job decently well enough, but and it does all the whack shit that you expect the JD to do. It doesn't hit like people on the ground that well, but if they're hitting into a JD, they're probably going to get a counter hit on lieu of their hitbox being extended anyway. So I'm going to do these last because I do need to like fix the image for them. I think you can sort of see the B on this one, and so we can pretend this is A, and this is definitely 236C. Like these are definitely 214, 214B, 214C, I think. And this is probably J214A, J214B, J214C, but it's whatever. We'll come back to them later. Okay, EXDP. This is bad. No, it should go in extremely niche, but it is a DP. Oh, I'm conflicted. The issue with J623C is that as opposed to most of the other EX reversals, like most EX reversals in this game are frame 4 generally, and they're usually like 3+1, 2+2, something like that. H-Kkohaku's EX reversal is frame 5, so it's a frame slower than the average EX reversal, and it is the most forward frame data in the backpack of being 1+4. So for those of you who doesn't know what that means, that essentially means after the EX flash, you have 4 frames in which you are actionable before the hitbox comes out. So that means if you are not pressing a button preemptively into the 623C, you're definitely never getting hit by H-Kkohaku pressing 623C. If it was 4+1, it would, like if this was 4+1, it would go from here all the way up to like strong and into niche. But it is 1+4 as opposed to 4+1, so it is sitting at the top of extremely niche because this is just dog shit. Having a EX reversal you can't rely on due to the fact that it's like pretty much reactable despite being a frame 5 because of how due to how EX flash works is like really bad, especially on a character with defense as bad as like she doesn't have ground buttons to mash on defense. Like while we were talking about her ground buttons, I didn't say like a single one of them is good for mashing on stagger pressure because none of them are. Like yeah, she like her buttons are polarizing. See, that's why I can't put like good or whatever or really good generally because they're extremely niche at what they're doing. Like none of them are like neutral buttons except for like maybe 2A and 5A, but like 5A is pretty good in neutral. In fact, 5A is so good at neutral, it probably is better than 22B, and it could argue that, yeah, I think 5A's neutral presence generally gets it here. Because it's pretty much her only thing to press in neutral alongside 5B, blowback edge, and blowback edge 5B is all the way near the top. JB, which is another button you're spamming in neutral a lot, is all the way near the top. 22A is a button you press in neutral to like control the haste a lot, and it's also near the top. Command throw, anytime you're trying to punish someone who has a bad pin and you like establish the threat of a 2A pin, you command throw them instead. It's the key to her offense, it's key to everything. So like her neutral is like lacking because she has only these buttons and they're all relatively slow or committal. Yeah. So the fact that her what's the button that I just dragged up? It's combined, whatever. I think I lost my train of thought about her neutral, but we're good. EX Bunker, really good. You could honestly put it in core. This is like the 3rd largest EX Bunker in the game, and it's just good. It doesn't have any weird bullshit like H-Rug EX Bunker or Len EX Bunker. It's not tiny piss baby small EX Bunker like Len's. It doesn't have whack interactions like Rug. Unlike Sat's EX Bunker, there's nothing. It's huge, and it's not like huge horizontally, it's huge vertically. So you get EX Bunkers versus shit like that's annoying, like narrow 5C at a distance. If he presses the button after the 5C, he was gonna get hit by EX Bunker. You could argue that it's either top of here or bottom here. I'm just gonna put it at bottom here. It's probably her best way to spend meter because if you get it in the corner on offense, like let's say you're just deciding to hold 1 in your opponent's face and they hit into you, you can get bomb Oki off of your EX Bunker, which is also impressive. So the fact that it can feed into her Oki and the fact that it's just so big probably puts it all the way up here. Now we're talking 236A and her 5A 6AA, I think. Let's finish her 623C series first. Okay, so the green here is mostly this is 623B. You can tell because it's an anti-air. The big green box that you think that's on top of the red is a reflector box. It gets turned green in the viewer. I don't know if you put 623B here or here, because 623B has like strong points, but usually like the main issue is that if you're using 623B, you're not getting an anti-throw ender, so you're typically losing 500 damage. And if you're deciding to not lose damage and get a 623B ender, you are doing some extremely ultra sweaty combos, which is why you don't see 623B in a lot of my play. And also, if you use 623B to anti-air, you are typically like, you're typically not even you don't get, even on counter hit, you don't get anything impressive. Like at low profiles frame 1 and at low profiles all the way till active, but it's not all that impressive in anti-air. Like it's just strong as an ender because it's so plus that you can like actually dead body push people to the corner. You get a safe jump anywhere on the screen with no strings attached, and like when you do a safe jump off of the air throw, I think it's just strong as niche. I feel like getting the most use out of 623B requires like a whole bunch of executional bullshit that's not worth learning to do. Although maybe one of these days I'll start plopping it out in real matches, because you could make an argument that instead of ever doing an air throw ender mid-screen, like you could argue that instead of ever doing air throw ender mid-screen, you should be doing 623B enders and doing like the real combos mid-screen that deal like just as much damage as an air throw ender combo, but are notably harder to have a little bit of boppers and a little bit of feints, like those sort of combos instead. But I don't know. I think it's just strong as niche. It's like extremely advantageous knockdown. I don't like it for Bomoki, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's just meh or good. It's strong. It's a strong move, but I just feel like it's a little like if it got you a combo versus like, man, if you could combo off of it when you use it to anti-air, I think it would be up here, but you can't. So I think it just goes here. This is 236 uncharged A. Holy shit, it's just this button, but with a less hitbox, huh? I actually didn't notice that. I guess it makes sense, but there's a different animations. It never occurred to me that was 236A is like. 236A is good. It is mostly a combo tool. Yeah, it's good. It's mostly a combo tool that you combine with feint. This is feint, by the way. It's good. This, and talking about feint, I'll probably talk about 236A and feint together. You could argue that we should have a tier for feint, because unlike the others, it's not really good as niche. It's just generally really good. Maybe you could argue that is a core move for H-Kkohaku. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in core moves, because unlike, like, these are the moves that are strong, no string attacks in so many situations. Like, they're good on offense, they're good on defense, they're good in neutral. I think you could argue that feint is one of those moves too. These are the moves that are good, like really, really good, but they have like strings attached to them. Oops. So talking about 236A, it is mostly a combo tool. You could use it in neutral, but slightly before the red, she extends her foot like further out all the way up to here where my mouse is pointing. So it's not all that great in grounded footsies, and you don't get a whole lot of reward for it. If you do 236A combos, they deal a whole bunch of damage, and it's extremely a strong confirm, but it's extremely finicky confirm that is not all that consistent versus most of the characters in the cast, especially when people are crouching or standing. It is extremely hyper whack on how willing it is to have the 236AA follow up after the 236A. And even after you get the 236AA to follow up, you have to do a one frame link in order to confirm off of it, which is inconsistent by nature. So you could, I think I'm just going to, like, it's kind of weird to have the shields and both of the shield options, like 2D and JD up there, and have 5D and all this shit up here, but maybe like it's I think it's top of good because it's not as good as 623A. No, this is 623B. It's not as good as 623B. No, maybe it is better than 623B. Yeah, it is definitely better than 623B. You actually see 236A in gameplay. So I think 623B is going to hit here. And let's talk about 623A. Oh, I forgot to talk about Fate, huh? Man, I can do it after 63A. 63A goes all the way up here because it is pretty much blood brothers with 2C. Because this move OTGs the entirety of the cast minus Len and White Len. And even then it OTGs those characters in the corner. And it allows you to tag really nice damage and get air throw afterwards. And it's like a key combo part. Also, it's half decent as an anti-air. I personally don't like using it as an anti-air because you don't shrink down your hurt box. Because again, this additional green box is her red. It's a reflect box, it's not her actual hurt box. Her actual hurt box is not that pronounced. And if I pull up whatever the thing is called, I don't know if I want to see if I can do file manager in. Okay, I moved it off. I'm going to pull it up. Like, this is the only time I'm going to have to pull up something in Hentai-chan. Not Hentai-chan, it's Flame Display. I forget the name. There's so many different tools in Frame Display to show something. Also, it might take me a moment too because I forget which number is 623A. I think it's in the hundreds. I mean, luckily the other Kohakus don't have a 623A, so it should be easier to find compared to a lot of the other buttons in this game. Like trying to find a special move in this shit is extremely annoying, to say the very least. 214D EX, that's not it. I'm in the 500s now and I don't see it. No, that's jump. Okay, it's 452. And if I pull up and we see view, display reflect boxes. Where's reflect boxes in the thing? I don't know how to turn off the. Okay, so she's full. This is the first two frames, right? No, this is the charged version. Yeah. So we need to look at the uncharged version, which is this. She's standing full size for like these frames, and then this part, like this is reflect box. This part is a relatively decent anti-air. So, and it's just a good, OTG move, right? So the fact that this part is good at anti-airing, it's relatively active. The hitbox is relatively good for anti-airing. It's just slow, right? It's frame 14. I think it might have decent potential as an anti-air, but even if it's not a good anti-air, and I do a whole bunch of testing and trying and it doesn't work as an anti-air, it will always be extremely good as niche because it OTGs people and it allows you to get a full combo off of 2C always. Even if you don't have the execution to do the 5A with 6AA combos, you will always be able to 623A them afterwards on H-Kkohaku, which is just strong. And Feint. Feint is important. I almost forgot to get back to Feint. Feint is core because it allows you to run block string offense without rebeats, which is important because Kohaku, her block string offense is kind of dog shit, so she needs her rebeats a lot, and she needs to make sure she has damage whenever she hits you. So the fact that she can cancel her 6AA on block into Feint, you can use this in combos too. It pretty much serves a notable purpose in literally every single phase of the game except for maybe neutral, and even then you can argue that it has a point in neutral because you can Feint 236B with regular Feint, and 236B I think is a move that I've been sleeping on and is going to be relatively high on this list. So I think Feint is strong. Feint is just core. So in the 4 core moves, Command Grab, 22A, EX Bunker, and Feint, they're all extremely strong. there's not much specials left, huh? Arc Drive, meh. Actually, you could argue that's extremely niche, because why would you ever Arc Drive instead of 2-2C setups if possible? It is the most powerful ender you have access to, but it is also an extremely dogshit ender because Melty Blood does not have minimum damage. I think it is worse than JA, so it's going to go at the top or the actual bottom of meh tier. Arc Drive has circuit break, but is the worst circuit break in the entire game, and it's not even that long. I think it's 5 seconds, which is not a lot. It also doesn't drain any of the opponent's meter like a couple of other circuit breaks, so it's not even that impressive that wise. It doesn't do a lot of damage in the combos that you're using to tap to finish off with Arc Drive, unless you do extremely unskilled combos. While you can OTG with Arc Drive, the knockdown you get afterwards is not impressive. It is only plus 14, I believe, so you don't even get a meaty 5B blowback edge or something impressive like that. You can't even run Bomb Oki or do any sort of special thing or anything cool, really, other than a 2A5 DOS on the knockdown. So it is pretty much extremely bottom of the barrel Arc Drive. You really just use it to steal rounds and just get a little bit of extra damage, or to meme. Like, you can argue it has a purpose versus Hime Pillar, because if they do Geyser and Neutral, you can Arc Drive them on a read. But I've gotten that off once, and it was when I was joking versus Teed. So Arc Drive, bad. Honestly, despite the fact that you can barely see and tell what these are, I'm going to pretend this is 214A. This is definitely 214B. This is 214C, grounded. All these moves, dog shit. I'm not even going to bother to fix the image because it doesn't even matter which one is which. All these are garbage and they're not worth using. 214C is especially garbage. In fact, 214C deserves its own tier, which is actively harmful. I have lost more meter to the grounded 214C than I've lost doing anything else, because it's not even useful when you use meter with 214C. J214C, also garbage. 236A in the air. This is going to apply to 236A in the air, because you know what? Why not? It can count for 236A in the air. I don't care enough to fix it. It's meh. It sounds like it has potential. A somewhat invincible air dash that still lets you retain your air options. It does not. It's too laggy to move out of it. You need to spend an air option in order to move afterwards. It's not impressive, really. J236C, J236C. Oh wait, that's not 236 in the air. This is 236 in the air. It's meh. 236C. This is A and B, by the way. 236C. I just had it on here. It's the one with the hitbox. Yep. It's a meter burn. It's strong in its niche. It's not. I personally don't like using it because I feel like instead of burning meter with 236C, you should always do 236C. But sometimes you don't want the early knockdown, or you'll 236C sort of far away from the corner. Like, you can run mid-screen Oki with 236C, but I genuinely think you should just use this in most cases. This is 236C. Polarizing but good. Probably here, I think. No, actually no, I think it's worse than 22B. Yeah, I think it's just strong as niche. It is a meter burn option. Kohaku needs those because she can't meter burn in neutral all that well, nor can she meter burn on block string offense. But it's kind of the most unimpressive meter burn option, really. It allows you to run 2-2 Aoki mid-screen, but it's the 2-2 Aoki you run after it mid-screen is not all that impressive unless you are like really good at frame perfect dash 2-2 A's. It's strong in its niche. It's not as good as these normals, but it's definitely not bad for a special. Overhead, meh. if you're a really good on the Strix, you can get a 4K combo off of overhead, but you have to be relatively close to them. Most of the time you get overhead into jack shit. It is not that good. The fact that she has an overhead is probably more important than the fact that she doesn't have one. It's there. It's an option. I used to have a combo that had it, but there was no point in running the combo. It's literally just a combo that I made because I thought the combo would look funny, and I wanted to combo into 236A charge. It's not impressive. This is 6AA. This is meh. Actually, no. If we're talking about 6A and 6AA on their own merits, they should be extremely niche. But because they're so key to running her offense and her Oki, not her Oki, but just her combos, like, this button is sort of core for her combos, but in literally every other situation, it's kind of bad. Because the issue with H-Kkohaku 6A and 6AA is that they barely move forward compared to most of the other 6A8s and 6As in the game. Like, if you compare Arc or CL or literally any character that's not like narrow 6AA to H-Kkohaku 6AA, you're going to notice that Kohaku's 6AA pushes her back like super duper far, and it does not travel that much far forward compared to most 6AAs. Most 6AAs gain distance on a blocking opponent. H-Kkohaku actually gets consistently pushed out when she tries to 6AA. So these moves are pretty much delegated to being combo fodder. So I like 6A is definitely more useful than 6AA, I think, because you can use 6A in neutral, right? But I don't know. These buttons are hard to rank. I'm just going to put them in good because there's definitely shit stuff about them that makes me want to put them extremely niche, but they have uses at the end of the day. I think 6A is slightly more stronger than 6AA because it's half decent because of this good red box and the fact there's this nice anti-poke low box there. 6AA is a half decent anti-air, but like if it moved forward, like if these had better forward movement, they would probably be up here, but they don't, so they're just here. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put 6AA here because I've considered using this in neutral before. I've never considered using this in neutral, like in block string offense, dude. At least you can like do tick throws with 6A. You can't do tick throws with 6AA, and if you do feint off of it, you're +0, you're like a meter away from the opponent. It's really meh. It's not bad, but it's definitely not impressive. (236B). This is the one with the humongous hitbox. So this is charged. Oh, that's why the blowback edge sign is there. 236B charge is polarizing but good in my personal opinion. It's not that good as a neutral anti-air, but if you have someone in the corner and you block string into 236C and they trade with you or they try to jump out of the corner, you get like huge damage and you get bomb Oki afterwards. So I'm trying to incorporate 236B blowback edge in my play more, because I think it's actually pretty good as a corner lockdown anti-air, because it's just so huge and it's really good at trading with buttons, grounded buttons too. Like if you do 5C into 236B blowback edge, it trades with a large majority of B and C buttons, so it's pretty good in corner lockdown, but I don't like it anywhere else. It's a half decent like combo tool, I guess, for like your mid-screen to corner combos, but those are usually like extremely scaled to shit. But I guess it's important when it comes to running 2-2C Okis, man. So I think it deserves this spot. It's definitely worse than 5A and 5C, and it's not as universal as those buttons, but it has an extremely important part in corner lockdown, so I think it's here. 236AA, I think. Yeah, that's AA. Okay, so 236 AA combos deal a fuck ton of damage, but the issue is that, like, I feel like if I want to, it's hard. You could put it here. No, you definitely don't put it here, especially considering the 236 BA that we're talking about afterwards. I think you have to put it either here or here. I think I'm going to put it in strong just because the damage that you get from successful 236 AA combos is just so good. It's like really impressive how much damage that you can do after 236 AA. The combos are super duper hard and it's character specific, but the fact that they're there means you can eke out a lot of damage in situations that a lot of other characters would wish they would be able to eke out, or even have the potential to eke out, like, at all. I'm going to pretend this is ground throw. Like, this is obviously air throw, and this is probably a better image than using this for gold air throw, but you know what? Let's pretend for a second this is ground throw, okay? This is ground throw. It's meh. It is not impressive at all. The knockdown you get from it, you get a safe jump JB, but it's extremely lack of time. I don't like doing it, and 9 times out of 10 you're better off command throwing. So actually, because of the fact command throw exists, it's going to be put extremely niche. Like, it's not bad, it's not like an especially bad throw or anything, it's just that command throw exists and you can't get 2-2 Aoki that's any decent off of this ground throw, so it's just niche. 236BA is like, okay, this move is like the baseline of all of her combos, and it's the reason you play. It's half of the reason you play H-Kkohaku, but it's also half the reason that she's like bullshit, because this move is like one of the few combo moves in this game that is unsafe on whiff. Like, if you mess up a 236BA combo, you will just get smoked because they will air tech before you and they will get a combo, or they will ground tech on the ground and you're back to neutral and slight disadvantage. So, but if you're thinking about that aside, this move allows so much bullshit for H-Kkohaku. She can do combos that are like 20 seconds long because she can Batolu. She can do mid-screen to corner combos. She can do corner to corner combos that aren't bopper. So like, you can do combos on characters that you can't typically bopper thanks to Batolu mid-screen or Batolu not in the corner. And Batolu in the corner is super duper strong. Use it for getting damage off of command throw. Like, if she didn't have 236BA, she could still do stupid damage off her command throw into bomb Oki, but it would not be anywhere near as consistent and would be much more character specific. Like, there is a combo that is C-Arc exclusive that deals like 4.2k and leads into bomb Oki, but I would much rather Batolu C-Arc than do that combo. And it also gives C-Arc a whole bunch of fucking meter because the combo is so long and it has a whole bunch of feint cancels. It's like, the button is just a really good stabilizer, but it's the stabilizer that ends up fucking her over because of how bad it is to whiff. Like, it ends up, you tend to have a lot of like 2 and 1 frame links with Batolu too. So this thing that stabilizes her corner combos a whole bunch also ends up fucking her over in like when it comes to like mid-screen shit, or when you do like extremely difficult combos. So, but it's like, you could argue that it's extremely polarizing but good. I think that's where I'm gonna put it. But know that you can make a case for this move to be a core move. But I just don't think, like, it's not strong and neutral. But it's like it's her key combo tool. I think it deserves a tier just for that alone, frankly. Key combo tool or whatever, yeah. Like, it's such a good tool for her, but there's just the amount of issues that it causes that it also, compared to the issues that solves, it's impressive, really. Man, I spent an hour talking about moves, huh? This is the last one, I think. It is 236B Uncharged. Personally, if you asked me this question 3 weeks ago or before Climax, I would have put it here. I like never used this move ever, but I think it actually might be here. I think it is like her really only good anti-air. Her grounded anti-air game is completely bad. Like, you have 63A as like a potential anti-air, but it's an anti-air that it's definitely extremely a potential main anti-air, right? This is a real anti-air that can actually do things, and you can combine it with the fact that when you do 236BA, like, this is also completely air unblockable, right? So you can combine the fact that you're doing 236B and 236BA to get like to lock off huge swaths of the screen and to prevent people from jumping off on you. But you have to do it super preemptively, and it's really hard to place because Kohaku's ground movement is so bad. But I think it's actually worth it. I think it might be here. I think in a year, if I get better results anti-airing, you could argue that it's here. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it here. Like, it's definitely polarizing. It's like the first half of this. Like, I'm putting it less than this because I'm talking about more of its neutral use here instead of its combo purposes, because I feel like the combo purposes are better capitalized by this move. But this move is still really, I think this move has potential in neutral. And with that, that is the H-Kkohaku move tier list. Bruh, I've been making a lot of long videos over the past like week or so. Yesterday I recorded like an hour and a half of me reacting to a Melty Blood VOD about how complaining about the Melty Blood wiki, and that's going to be linked in the description. It's going to be stay unlisted until I edit it down for short form content. So if you wanted to watch it early, it's in the description. I posted it in Discord too if you want to watch it there. But till then, I think these are my thoughts currently about H-Kkohaku's moves. This is normally where the content creator would go, oh, if you have any differing opinions on this character, let me know in the comments. But none of you guys play H-Kkohaku. None of you have my games on H-Kkohaku. So actually, I don't really care about your opinions. Let me pull up melty.games real quick. Let me see how many games I have on this computer. On the results looker. Let's look real quick. My results CMV, 25k H-Kkohaku games, 30k Melty Blood games. Yeah, none of you can argue with me about these button places. This is word of God now, so see ya.